excited to be here today. And I'm excited that you are here today. Now, some people are like, well, what is Take Joy on Your Journey? Well, Take Joy in Your Journey is conversations with people that you know, and some you will get to know, who have had different challenges and things that have happened in their lives that they're like, oh my God, what is happening? And some things they kind of did themselves, and we've all been there, done that. But it is always a blessing when you run into somebody that found joy either in the process or at the end. So today I'm excited to have the one and only great friend of mine, Tristan Buckner. How you doing today?
Been great. We back at it. I like this. It's great. Thank you for having me on your show. It's pretty cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Now, let's start back a little bit. Let's go back a few years, as far back as you want to go. And let's talk about some things that transpired for you. A lot of times we assume that when people are doing well, that it's always been that way. And you had your dad and your granddad, and you stood strong and you trusted in God and all of that. Now, that's some people.
Yeah.
And some people didn't necessarily have those things to happen. So talk to me.
With me, myself, I grew up in a single parent home. My
Mhm.
mother, Buckner, who's a retired educator, but yet still hasn't retired. She's still working at a school here in Nashville at this moment, just part-time because she's retired, but she loves it. And she's
That's
83
cool.
years old. We grew up in the inner city,
Mhm.
with a single parent income. It was an inner city living, but it was you could consider it the best of inner city because, you know, regardless of whatever situation, Miss Buckner, kept a meal on the table, whether it was
Mhm.
pig feeding pig ears or some crap I didn't. I said, we ate pig ears and pig people a whole month. I told my brother, Fud, his name was Lauren. I said, Fud, man, I never eat pig again. I never ate it. With that being said, I still as well, on that
Right.
end. So anyway, but my mother, she was a caring person, but
Mhm.
being a parent with three men, three boys, she had to rule with the iron fist, Fidel Castro, and she
Fidel Castro, you went all the way there.
yeah, she ruled with an iron fist. It was like her way or the highway, and
Mm.
it paid off. It paid off. Her upbringing was really good, but as adults, we tend to make choices of our own, and we have to live with the choices we made. So throughout that life, and her guidance, which was very good. When I became adult, I thought my choices was the best in the world. I thought I was a good strategizer, so to say, but I was dumb as a box of rocks. So, uh, you know, I was dumb as a box of rocks. You think I thought I was Doogie House. I just saw a few episodes of TV, and
I tell you what, you've got a great sense of humor about it all.
so I thought I was on. So I made a choice to befriend people, which I blame nobody for my actions because I'm grown,
Mhm.
and I'm on my own. Nobody actually put anything in my hand, but an altercation took place. We actually moved because it's a difference between individuals being incarcerated and getting rehabilitated. Some people have it kind of misconstrued because a lot of people in prison are rehabilitated. They don't need rehabilitation. They just need another chance. So a lot
Mhm.
graduated high school, have college degrees, been to college, and so forth. So I myself graduated high school, went to college, Arkansas State University, but didn't graduate. So I didn't need rehabilitation. I just needed another chance. I was habilitated when I went in. So I had the edge on the average individual going into prison because I didn't have to go somewhere where I had to take a GED class, which would be West High or something like that, which would be normally a younger generation, about 90% gang affiliated,
Okay.
So it'll been, which I can maneuver anywhere, but a situation like that, I would have had to really use my wits, to maneuver
Mhm.
around situations like that, which I've been in some before, but not, to that extreme because that's, it's a little different. But
Okay.
that with a little education, which people don't read, just a little education to help you a lot when you enter the penal system. So my actions was going back to 1995.
Mm.
I I befriended a person, we became cool, but and you should realize it as well. when you befriend somebody and you don't really know about them or their history, you inherit whatever problems they have. You know, their
Wow.
problems.
Yes, that's so
So,
true.
especially if you're a quote unquote down friend. So, because
Mhm.
that's a dangerous thing, a down friend, because you don't honestly know if your friend is just as down as you. So it's a
Mhm.
little different. So with you being that loyal friend, it might come to the point where you're cornered and you have to, do what you say. So anyway, to make a long story short, a lot of occurrence happened with shootouts and different things of that nature with individuals that he was into it with, not myself. I'm from East St. Louis. I was in Clarksville technically 11 months and ended up with 50 years in prison. 11 months. I was in Clarksville 11 months. I went there a
Wow.
whole year and got locked up for 1 count of first degree murder and 4 counts of first degree attempted murder. So
Wow.
that's the same thing I see. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because reality don't sink in into you're in a quiet room
Yeah.
and sit down and you watch a TV and your face pop up and they read off exactly what you did, and then you like, wow, I was just that stupid, you know.
What did that feel like? I mean, to actually sit there and actually see your face on the
Yeah,
screen.
it,
What
it
did that
feels
feel like?
it feels like somebody like Mike Tyson punched you in your chest and knocked all the wind out of you, because you realize it's like this is real. I've seen people on the news, so now I'm looking at myself. And not only that, you're in an environment where things are not a secret. You're in jail already when you see it in jail. So individuals around you are sitting on the TV just as well as you. So they're gonna be like, bro, woo, you messed up, you done. They might make statements like that. So your heart, your mind is rolling 500,000 miles an hour because you don't really understand what you got yourself into,
Right.
but it's bad. It's real bad. So
Yeah.
when I realized how far I went, which was too far, then you go, through the formality of getting arrested and so forth, and I ended up being in Montgomery County Jail, which is Clarksville,
Mhm.
for a total of close to 3 years. I was in that county jail, honestly, I think longer than anybody had ever been at the time.
Really?
Yeah. So when I went to court, I went to court so many times that me and the DA really spoke on first name basis. I called him Bill, he called me Tristan.
Are
That's how
you
comfortable
serious?
I was in court, going to court. So, so with me being there that long, and we only had rec a minimum amount of probably about 5 times over 3 years, which you go outside. I looked like I was from the Middle East. My hair was black and my skin was very, 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 very light. So people thought I was almost from the Middle East at that time, you know.
Wow.
So, but through all that, I stayed there that period and ended up with a 50-year sentence at 30% because I was grandfathered in from the old law. The new law started 1995, July the 1st, which was 85% for any violent homicide charge. I was up under 30%. So I had 50 years at 30%, which is 15. So
Okay.
in the prison system, if you have good behavior, in Tennessee, every 2 years you get 1 year good time. So
Okay.
15, you could break it down to 10, and I got 5 years good time. So the first time I went up for parole, it was almost quite at 10 years and some months. And I got put off 2 years. And then I went back up at almost close to 13, 12 years, 9 months, and actually made it. And it was a
Wow.
blessing because the odds were totally stacked against me. God, I never say people trusted me. God trusted me because I wouldn't be in this situation. When God trusts me to be somewhere, I'm there for a reason. So I never feel intimidated in any situation, circumstances, because where I'm at, God trusts me to be there. So that's how my mind is set. So God trusts me to be home. So I'm here for a reason. So, but my reason is it has a purpose behind it. It
Right.
would be vain if I didn't actually share my life to the point where some youth, I could actually deter them from making the stupid, ignorant decision that I made, that
Yeah.
caused me and so many other people a lot of grief in their lives, because the domino effect, when me and my family, the dominoes go both ways, it hit him, his family, his loved ones, and so forth, so it's a lot of apologies to be made. And with your apologies, and this is what I said in the parole board, and my viewpoints haven't changed since. And I said, I can apologize until I'm red and pink in the face, but until my actions show that I've actually changed, my apologies is no good. So my actions showed I've changed from that point to the end. So I've truly apologized because I'm a changed person. So it's a little different, you know. So, but I've always, apologized, and I've always been apologetic. But I prefer my actions to show how much I do apologize, and how truly apologetic I am, especially with me trying to use that to hinder anyone else from making decisions I made. So that's what my nonprofit lived experience is based on. With I'm dealing with at-risk youth, youth with in facilities as well. Anyone in that position, it's no color barrier. It's just dealing with youth in general, But minorities are pretty much a main focal point because that's and me being with the lives that I had, I was a part of that. So now I would like to be part of the solution if I was a part of the problem,
Absolutely. You know what? Woo! You said so much. And I have like a million different questions. But one of the questions that stuck out with me more than anything is a lot of times when people have been in the prison system, they say, I found God when I was there. But from listening to you, I'm thinking, okay, he already knew the Lord before he went in, or was it reinforced once you got in?
I knew the Lord before I went in, but in reality, when you went with people in county jails and they facing the rest of their life in prison, they'll pray to a toilet if they think you can get them out. People go to Indian Baptist Bible study. They go to every church service you can think of. They'll whatever. And I can't knock them because people looking for some help. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
If the only time in life you scream for God is when you break your ankle, you really needed him. You know what I mean? So, but I knew God before I went in. And my mother was a major catalyst of that. In some cases, my aunt, my uncle, church was a part of a regiment. In some cases, we were forced to go to church. In some cases, we had to go to church. It was like a formality. I don't care if the pants was too big; it don't matter. We were forced to go to church in some cases. So God was always in me. I just wasn't doing godly things at that time.
I get it. I get it to some degree. I get it. And it's funny about when we think about the Lord, when the younger you are, the more impact I think the Lord has in an innocent sense. Okay.
Yes.
And you really, and if you're surrounded by those who love the Lord and you know that you can depend on them for prayer and for support, then sometimes it's kind of like, well, I'll be all right because I know mama or great grandmama is going to pray for me, or auntie or whatever. So if I get into something, then whatever, they got me. But I think it settles in even more, don't you think, when things as severe as this happens?
It does, because you don't even realize how many people are praying for you when your chips are down, and people don't tell you that. But even when I had a kidney transplant, I'm sure it was people praying for me that I had the slightest idea. I got cards, slid up under my door at the barbershop. People I did not know, honestly, and was like, "Hey, I'm praying for you," and put like $20 in there, stuff like that. I'm like, man, I was in awe. I was like, wow, that's thankful, because you actually underestimate, the caringness of society, and some, because the TV makes you numb to things in some cases. Actually underestimate the caringness of some people in society, because we become numb watching mostly violent things on the news, because it gives views, people watch it. I don't say they like it, but that's what catches their mind, things of that nature.
It's not only that, from my background in the field of broadcasting and everything, shock and horrible things happening, it builds the ratings. It's about money. It's not
Exactly.
necessarily about anything else. I think that's really number one.
Yeah.
But continue. Boy, your story is something else. Continue.
Oh, so yeah. So with that is uh let me see. Let me start off where I'm actually working on an audio book. I actually need to finish it, but it has both of the parole hearings live actually in it. Well, one of them
Wow.
because it's one audio book, but it's actually live, the actual live parole hearings, which is kind of rare. So I have about 4 hours done. But back to what I was situation.
Hmm.
Well, being incarcerated and actually knowing God, it kind of it. I didn't go in with a hopeless nature. I didn't go in with 50 years saying, I don't, care. You know what I mean? I'm gonna throw it all away. Nah, no, no. My mindset was I gotta get myself out of here. Period. I had no other, because I could tell the next individual in prison that, yeah, how much time you got? Tristan, I got 50 years. Woo, woo, bro, you done. I'm like, oh, yeah, and he had probably 12 years. But
Hmm.
the is he might act a fool. He might be a gang member and acting a fool. So he'll do
Hmm.
11, 12, and I'm here sitting home.
Wow.
So it's all about your behavior. So I'm not a gang. I lived in Chicago, and so forth, been incarcerated. And I have nothing against gang. What they choose to do, that's their choice if it helps them in a positive manner. But I've never been affiliated. That's just not been my style. I've just, what they call a renegade. I've been doing my own thing and I've always done. I just stand as a man. So I it stopped me from actually um being a scapegoat, for people. It stopped me
Mm.
the fall guy for people. It stopped me from being a flunky. It stopped me from, because think about it, I'm already in prison for a homicide. Why would I want to get locked up while I'm locked up? I'm like, yeah, you locked up. Why you locked up? Why I'm gonna stab somebody? You know what I mean? I just come
Right.
on, it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm like, if I'm gonna get out, the only way I'm going to get out is be a model inmate. Period.
Mm.
Because I can't be like them. That's the only thing I said in my mind. What they do is what they do. I can't be like them. I can't be like them. I kept drilling it in my head, and that's one of the things I thank God for to possibly help me as well as my routine from having an institutionalized mind. You know,
Mm.
that
Ooh.
up that long because I had to remind myself whether it was self affirmation or whether it was visual of what I was looking at that I can't be like them. I can't talk like them. I can't pick up their vernacular. I can't do it because me separating me, I realized that the guards even looked at me different. They treated me different. I end up speaking to OJT, on the job training staff. They wanted me to speak to them. They take me out my cell to speak to a young girl and was getting in trouble at school. Why everybody else locked down? I'm like, what they take me out of scale for? What's going on? I'm thinking like I done something. They took me out, took me in the back of the office, want me impromptu talk to some young girls about behavior and that. I'm like, wow, okay. This is something maybe with me being able to articulate and being in prison, it gave me a little edge as well because I could talk. So a lot of things that as I said, being habilitated helped me a lot more than the average. And I don't know besides God being first, how much it helped me, but I know it helped me a lot because it helped me educational wise because I was able to get in barber school, get my instructor's license, barber license, and a truckload of others. So I'm certified in upholstery, commercial cleaning, plumbing, horticulture. I can work at a greenhouse. I've done so that I don't even talk about it. That's just like I'm like wow. But I'm a barber. I own a barber shop downtown. Tristan. So that's something that I enjoy doing. I'm a people's person, but the nonprofit is the bigger picture. That's what I'm working.
Yes, yes. That was the next thing I was going to do is ask you about the nonprofit. Woo! The show is Take Joy on Your Journey. And honestly, I'm getting the greatest joy just hearing your story. It's miraculous altogether. But I have one quick question before we talk about your nonprofit that I know everybody needs to know about. Everybody needs to know about this nonprofit. When you said the words an institutionalized mind, that spoke volumes on so many levels about mindset and how so many, not just young people, not just minorities or what have you, but how you have to choose what you are going to meditate on.
Yes,
So
yes.
it was obvious that that's what you did. Am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And with that, it's like you have to break the routine because you're actually, it's almost like your routine is 24/7 the same outside of what day you go to chow, what time you go to chow, and what order you go to chow in. That's it. That's the only thing deviates with your unit. So with that, when chow comes, it's like you herd it down like cattle. Then you herd it back up. Then the next group come down, walking fast, running to the point where it's almost like, are you for real, man? So I stopped going to chow. I stopped going to the chow hall. And I would either eat tuna fish, sardines, or either have somebody make me something in the kitchen and smuggle it back up. I pay them. That's actually how I did. I stopped going. I stopped eating ramen noodles altogether because we didn't have the best healthcare, obviously. So people were having heart attacks and dying. I'm like, I have to eat healthy because if I don't, I could just as well be a casualty up in here, and I have to exercise and keep my mind. I had to keep my mind stronger than my body. Some people focus on their body, but in that place, I think me keeping my mind focused help me prosper a lot more than my body being on point.
Woo! Wow. That will preach, as they say. That right there. Thank you for sharing so much and for sharing your heart. Now, you know what I want to hear about is that nonprofit organization.
Okay,
Please, please tell us about it.
it's called lived experience, and lived experience is because I'm speaking from a lived experience perspective, which most of the things I talk about, which if not all, I will give you an experience and actual it because children so many times are told what not to do. We
Mhm.
seldom tell them what to do. So I'm here to try to tell them what to do to avoid all those pitfalls because I've been through it. So once we have a commonality, they tend to attach to me because not to discredit academia, but you have to realize that these kids nowadays like the actual fact. If you haven't been through it, they really ignore what you have to say. It's really like null and void. They want somebody who actually been through it and actually conquered it because they have no answers right now, you know, and they're very emotional at that. So with live experience, I deal with Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center, and I have made a course called Recreating Yourself, which I have adult course as well as a juvenile course, which I deal with lived experience. You could say it's disadvantaged youth, it's at-risk youth, it's youth that are borderline, it's youth that you may see that may be straddling the fence, anything that could be proactively, tackled. That's what live experience is about when it comes to youth. Now, the adult live experience, ironically, I partnered with Core Civic, and we're making a LMS out of it, which I have rights to it,
Mhm.
but be in their facility, so that way I could actually shop it around as
Okay,
well.
can you repeat that name again for those who are
Core,
listening who are not
Core,
familiar with it?
okay, Core Civic. Core Civic is one of the biggest private prison industries in the United States, pretty much the world. So I have a contract with them already, and I have a book and a workbook and an LMS called the Felon's Guide. The Felon's Guide is in 16 institutions with Core Civic. Now, the this new Recreating Yourself adult will be probably in a lot more because it'll be in all their facilities, with this deal that we're making on that one. But the youth one, I will be giving that as well, possibly to Davidson County youth as well, which I
Oh,
will be doing
wow.
next month with them. And recreating yourself is me using what I've used and the tools that I've gained along the way to actually change my behavior, my thinking, which is first, which helped change my behavior and my attitude, which your attitude equals your altitude in life, which I explained that to them, how far you go, that has a lot to do with it because that seems to be a big problem with the youth today. They have a attitude issue in some cases, and it just needs to be fine-tuned, so they can actually understand what's kosher and what works in this world, because they've probably been doing it their way. They probably have a single parent that's more befriending to them than a disciplinarian. So it's a lot of factors that we pretty much don't, dig up when it comes to youth. So Live Experience focuses on trying to help them change their attitude, as well as other programs that's under umbrella of it, which is Lived Experience actually is a program itself. You have Recreating Yourself, and then you have the Felons Guide and some workforce development things I'm working on as well. So it's like a lot of things that I'm actually putting in play with this, and it is a 501c3. Live Experience is, and I'll give you information on how to contact it, as well as donate. If anyone, feel free. A penny is worth anything. It's better than nothing. Because helping the children.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, go ahead and tell us, and I'll make sure that everybody gets that information on the screen.
Okay, with Live Experience, you could text LIVEX to 53555, and you can donate. It'll give you all the information as well, and you'll get a receipt up on your donation. It is a 501c3, and the website is Live Experience, LIVEX NCE.MOBIRISESITE.com, and that's Mobilized site, liveexperience.mobilizesite.com. So let me repeat it one more time. LIVEXPERIENCE.MOBIRISESITE.com.
Awesome.
And thank you very much.
No, you know what, Tristan? Thank you.
Yeah.
This, as I wish we had more time, because I would talk more about some of the illnesses and sicknesses and stuff that you've been through, and you're sitting here like it never happened, which is amazing to me. So do you mind coming on again another time, and we'll talk more about that as well?
Yeah, we will double back on that. I think that is very cool, because it means a lot when you overcome things and you could actually share it with other people in general, because people are going through a lot, whether it's disease, whether it's kidneys, whether it's heart, whether it's whatever. And a lot of people just don't really express that, they just kind of like tough it out, and it's good to hear from somebody that they may be going through the same thing or been through the same thing that you've been through.
Absolutely. Oh my God, Tristan, you are a walking miracle. And I'm so glad that you had a chance to take out time with Take Joy on Your Journey. You guys, you have got to get his information, and I'm going to have it on the screen and everything. And thank you again for joining us for Take Joy in Your Journey. Hey, make sure that you like and subscribe and share with somebody else, because Tristan, this is a story of all stories. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today on Take Joy on Your Journey, and we'll see you all next time.